A snowy owl. Raising young like this needs one small rodent to have an exceptional year. A rodent that can vanish almost completely for years at a time. What does she do when it's gone? She's already flying into the dark to find out. The tundra stretches to every horizon, and right now looks almost empty. This rodent's numbers can swing from thousands to almost none, roughly every 4 years. That's the gamble built into her body. Enough young for a good year, the nerve to walk away from a bad one. Only the boldest owl finds out which kind this is. This is one of the years the 4-year cycle actually turned in her favor. The tundra of Bylot Island, high in the Canadian Arctic, is full of exactly the rodent she needs. And under a sun that never fully sets, she's already hunting. This is more than a meal. A snowy owl's clutch can reach well into double digits in a true boom year, but only if she's carrying enough reserve right now to lay that many in the first place. Fall short of that, and there won't be a clutch to worry about at all. She drops from the hummock in near total silence, wings barely beating, gliding low over the sedge. A lemming freezes under her shadow, but freezing is exactly the wrong move against a hunter that was already tracking the rustle in the grass. One strike, feet first, and it's over before the tundra even settles. Every lemming like this one is banked straight into what happens next. A good hunting season doesn't just keep her alive. It's the only thing that makes it worth risking a nest at all. Out here, where an empty stomach and an empty scrape in the ground amount to exactly the same thing. Watch the stillness, not the strike. She hasn't moved from this scrape in the gravel for most of a day, wings tented low over a clutch that, this year, numbers 9. Nine eggs is not a guess. Every clutch this large is her body reading the same 4-year swing the rest of this island runs on, and betting everything that this happens to be one of the good years. Get that bet wrong, and there's no walking it back once the eggs are laid. Right now, on the far side of the scrape, something low is already moving through the sedge. The fox is gone, chased off the way it came, and the 9 eggs underneath her haven't so much as shifted. But holding this ground is only half of what 9 hungry mouths will need in just a few more weeks. And out across the tundra, this year's lemmings are already thinning faster than she'd like. That pause is the whole strategy. And lately, it's a much longer one. 3 weeks after that fox retreated, the lemming burrows nearest her scrape are already running thin, and she's having to range further across the open tundra than she did at the height of summer. Every catch matters twice as much now. The chicks waiting back at the scrape are already 3 times the size they hatched at, and each one needs feeding on a schedule that leaves no room for a stolen meal. That's exactly what a long-tailed jaeger has learned to specialize in, and one has been circling above her hunting ground for most of the morning. Even a near miss like that costs calories she can't easily replace. And across the whole nesting ground this summer, encounters like it are becoming the rule rather than the exception. The lemmings aren't just thinning near her scrape anymore. They're thinning everywhere. Something is already aimed, and it isn't at a lemming this time. It's a direction. 3 months after that first successful catch, the Arctic light is failing fast. Snow is already closing over the burrows she hunted all summer, and every lemming on this ground is about to disappear from her reach for the next 8 months. This is the choice every owl her age eventually faces, good year or bad. Stay and risk starving on ground that no longer feeds her, or leave everything she knows and gamble on ground she's never even seen. Out here, there isn't a third option. She climbs onto a wind already blowing toward the coast and rides it rather than fighting it, covering in an hour what a headwind would have cost her 3 times over. Below her, tundra gives way to pack ice, and pack ice finally gives way to a dark seam of open water that the current never quite lets freeze shut. That seam of black water is a Polynyas, kept open all winter by the same current, and it's the only reason a hunter built for tundra can still find something to eat here in the middle of the true polar night. She isn't the only animal on this coastline who already knows it's there. Every animal on this island reads the same 4-year signal she does. When lemmings are abundant, the Arctic fox she drove off has enough to spare that a nearby snow goose colony's eggs mostly go untouched. When lemmings crash, that fox turns to the geese instead, and the lang-tailed jaeger she outcompeted all summer simply leaves for another island. Take her out of that balance, and every one of those neighbors feels it. She survives the bad years the same way she just proved she survives the end of a good one, by never staying anywhere longer than the lemmings do. For a snowy owl, home was never really a place. It was always just wherever the hunting still works.